Love your outfit. How are you?
That's why I want to say thank you for your guidance. I'm from Vietnam before, and now I'm Philippines.
Oh, wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yeah, you did. That's a whole video.
Stay right here.
Cứ nhà không anh? Anh lại đứng kế
Vô
đi.
có cái này nó lọc rồi.
Anh lại đứng kế đi. Đấy, baby đang làm của em. Đừng có lại thấy. Sốc đấy. Anh xích qua tí xíu đi. Đứng sau lưng. Ngọc Trăng kính gửi lời chào đến tất cả quý vị khán thính giả Binhvo và Ngọc Trang. Hôm nay Kristi Noem hôm nay đã đến với lại The Valley Forest County của Florida và cô có một buổi ra mắt quyển sách của cô. Quý vị khán giả của Binhvo và Ngọc Trang, ai muốn cô sẽ là phó tổng thống cho năm nay cùng với tổng thống Trump thì comment cho Trang nha. Anh đứng sát vô xích qua chút xíu mới được đi. Nó ý em là anh đứng xích vô trong chứ không phải là cái đường đi. Oh yeah, mọi người biết đó là cô cũng là một người Rovender rất là giỏi, và hy vọng rằng những chiến dịch của tổng thống Trump sẽ tìm ra một phó tổng thống không có sự rhino trong đây, và chúc cho cô sẽ đủ cái điểm để mà được tổng thống Trump cho cái buổi làm hoạt động hôm nay. Thì buổi chiều thì cô sẽ đến quạt Palm Beach của Club 45-47. Sáng nay thì cô đến Relax County của The Valley của Florida, và nhóm của Trang Bonterify hôm nay phụ trách cái công việc là đưa cô đi và cũng như là hướng dẫn và bảo vệ cái an ninh hôm nay cho cô. Dạ em xin chào mọi người nha. Do là ở đây cái tiếng nhạc cũng hơi ồn á, sẽ cố gắng lấy lại tất cả đủ hình ảnh cho ngày hôm nay. Thank you. Trang cũng xin gửi đến tất cả quý vị khán giả thì cái chương trình của Kristi Noem sẽ đi có cái tour, sẽ đi một vòng để giới thiệu cuốn sách của cô và cũng như là những cái buổi cô nói chuyện ở khắp Mỹ, và sẽ quý vị vào trong trang của Kristi Noem để quý vị thấy được cái address và cái địa chỉ và cái thời gian khi nào đến ngay cái địa phương của quý vị để gặp được cô và ủng hộ cho cô, cũng như quý vị nào thích cô làm một vice president cho năm nay cùng với tổng thống Trump, hy vọng rằng là điều đó sẽ thành sự thật, thì chúng ta sẽ có được cái một vị phó tổng thống tương lai và là một vị tổng thống tương lai luôn quý vị. Hy vọng là tổng thống Trump sẽ chọn Kristi Noem. Cô vẫn là một người phụ nữ mạnh mẽ và có cái đấu tranh cũng như đường lối của cô đi tới hiện nay. Cô là một vị tổng thống, vị thống đốc tuyệt vời của đảng Cộng hòa, và hy vọng
everyone, we are raffling off a gift basket in the back of a bottle of Trump wine. So I encourage you, if you haven't already, please buy raffle tickets for that, because I'll be giving away tonight. You have a chance to win the Trump wine. It's back there where who's back there waving their caps? So Jerry Lima back there? Jerry's holding up the wine basket. If you turn it on, you can see him. It's back there.
I'm crazy.
You can buy raffle tickets for that.
Mọi người đang thích chiếc áo dài của Trang cũng như là bộ nail của Trang là làm đó quý vị. Nên là kính thưa quý vị, thì Kristi Noem là một vị thống đốc mà Trang nghĩ rằng là trong tương lai thì cô có thể là một phó tổng thống cho nước Mỹ.
That's the best dress ever. You need that and make sure it gets the full effect. Perfect. Thank you. You just got a photo here. You want to have this where was you from? Thank you.
Nancy Formasano, let me know if we run out of chairs back there. We'll have them bring one, okay?
Anh cầm cuốn sách sẵn đi, anh thấy cái chữ là anh để cho đi.
Chị chưa đi với trong đâu hả?
Anh cầm để anh biết là em bỏ cái này vào cái cuối cùng. Quý vị.
We should have 2 seats.
Có tờ giấy em viết sẵn luôn. Cái tên nó người có tí. Em viết sẵn cho nó là viết thay như vậy. Em viết bên này chút xíu là cô sai là đúng rồi. Cô sai đây nhưng mà mình viết cho em là nói cô sai đi theo người viết đi theo. Thế sao?
As soon as you get your photo op and your book signed with the governor, unless you have to use the restroom, we're asking you to take your seats so we make sure that we have enough seats for everyone. Thank you.
Quý vị thấy không? Mọi hoạt động của Đảng Cộng hòa hiện nay đang rất là nổi bật lên, và mọi người cũng đã nhận ra được cái vai trò chủ chốt trong Đảng Cộng hòa, và cũng như là cuộc đấu tranh sắp tới đây thì mình cũng thấy cái vai trò của Vice President rất là quan trọng cùng với Tổng thống Trump. Và mong rằng Kristi Noem sẽ có được cái vị trí của Vice President trong tương lai cho Tổng thống Trump và cũng cả nước Mỹ. mà hơi ồn nên Trang không có nói chuyện được, thông cảm nha mọi người thì ạ. Sau khi ký sách thì cô sẽ có một buổi nói chuyện.
Go out and about. I've got some from we're out of town. You take care. How did I lose my seat? Is there a napkin and a coffee cup sitting here in my seat? Sir, is that my napkin and coffee cup, sir? Is that my napkin and coffee cup? Take care. I'll throw it away. I had put it in my seat to save my
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so I was sitting there, but I'll let you. You're bigger than I am. You're fighting.
Sorry. Sorry, I don't know. Uống bệnh rồi mọi người ơi. Mấy nay hả, sụp xà sụp.
There.
Khán giả của Võ Ngọc Trang, khán giả của Trang với mình có ai có dự đoán là cô sẽ là một phó tổng thống không ạ?
Dress best you. Best dress you would win.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah.
Total impressive, my God. What'd you find out? Why did you make it? You made that?
Yeah.
Wow. Very talented.
là mọi người rất là thích chiếc áo dài của Trang mọi người. Thấy cũng vui ha.
Would you take a picture of me when you're done?
Yeah.
I don't think if somebody actually takes the picture for you.
Somebody do that.
I can take yours too if you want.
Our phone, they took a picture of the Hi. How you doing? Good. We're going to be sitting with you up front. How's that? Yes, and I know you're a great. Obviously, you're a big supporter.
Trying to hang them on something the other end. They're just trying to make it we can't win. They know they can't cheat this time. Can't cheat this time. Can I take a picture of this? The funny thing is,
Yeah.
That is amazing.
did you make that?
Yeah, I made it.
So I brought my own stuff too, and I saw it, and I said, you know what a clever idea.
All right, smile one more time.
Yeah. Now you're the copy of this.
Thank you. Thank you.
How are you? We're going to do a picture. Okay.
On the page?
I do it. It's started. Yeah.
She's got it. She's on the ball. See, he doubts you. He doubted you. You believe that? How you doing? Good. Yeah. We're all part of it.
You guys, thank you.
do for me?
Việt Maga. Can I? Yeah. Maybe it's your name tag. Hold it up for me. Is it on here? No, I do that.
N-I-A? Oh.
You like that? Yeah. Okay. Nice. Maga.
Maya?
Maga. Make American great again. Yeah.
Get next to your wife. But they're not married, really. Yeah, that's what she told you.
I have to see you for my rally. Okay?
Yes,
Yeah.
that sounds wonderful.
Yeah. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you very much, guys. Get it?
There we go. No, later.
Hy vọng chúng ta sẽ đón được cô có một buổi nói chuyện ở Việt Maga cho buổi rally ở quận Palm Beach. Trang đã gửi lời mời cho cô và hy vọng là cô sẽ sắp xếp được và đến.
I didn't recognize it. I think it's funny. No, I have 3 bands.
Quý vị thấy buổi rally của Việt Maga sắp tới đây ở quận Palm Beach vào ngày 13 và ngày 14 sẽ rất là đông mọi người đến đó, và hy vọng rằng quý vị muốn dự cái ngày đó xin liên hệ với ban tổ chức và mình đăng ký từ bây giờ, tại vì số phòng nó cũng có thời hạn ít hơn và cũng như ghế ngồi, và mong rằng là cái ballroom của chúng ta hiện nay cái buổi rally hôm đó là 800 người mà hiện nay thì nó đã lên tới con số là 500 người rồi, vì vậy chúng ta cần phải nhanh hơn nữa để mà liên kết với lại Việt Maga để đăng ký cho buổi rally ở quận Palm Beach vào ngày 13 và 14. Riêng ngày 13 buổi tối là một cái đêm dinner gala, và 14 là buổi rally từ buổi sáng từ 10 giờ cho tới 2 giờ chiều. Chúng ta phải vì cái bữa đó thì ở trong cái ballroom rất là lớn của chúng ta sẽ có một buổi speaker của những người rất là quan trọng, và mong rằng là sẽ có mặt được tất cả những người quan trọng nhất trong nước Mỹ hiện nay cũng sẽ quy tụ về đó kết hợp với Việt Maga.
Well, I have to find it. I have to find it. Yeah, I mean, you're right. You're right. I guess it does look. It does look.
Mọi người nãy giờ Trâm đang đi vòng vòng. Em xin chia sẻ với chị rằng cái buổi ra đi sắp tới của chúng ta vào ngày 13, 14 thì có rất là nhiều những văn vật quan trọng để xin biết chơi today okay. Hy vọng là bữa ra đi của người Việt chúng ta sẽ được thành công. Cảm lạnh đó mọi người, ở ngoài buổi ra đi ở New Jersey đang bị cảm lạnh.
What are you, 97, 96? What did you do that? Okay. You got the light.
Okay, the governor has writer's cramp. I think she signed far more than what she anticipated. They usually limit it just because of the timing and everything to about 25. So I think she did at least double that. So we appreciate her doing that. And then she's just gonna catch her breath and then we're gonna start in about 10 minutes, the program, okay? Thanks, everybody.
I'm good. How are you? I'm so excited to see you. You look wonderful.
Yeah.
Speaking good. I know.
You that says you're
Oh, yeah. Awesome. What are you speaking about? Just like American birth principles, basically, like don't underestimate.
No, they were
Exactly.
like
Because I mean, the biggest problem is the very school system. The adult
maybe it's now.
but there are lots of us in the world. Yeah. So you guys have to
Dennis said
Yeah.
oh, so it doesn't come up that way.
Oh, so great to meet you.
That's where it comes up. And I didn't put it in there. I thought I did. I think it would be way back, like maybe last year. I wasn't on board. I go to bed at last. I haven't been. But we got time. We almost. We often there's very few left. I brought it back. I brought it in, but I put boxes of books in there. And at the end, I think there was only 3 or 4 left.
If everyone can take their seats, we're going to try to get started here in the next couple of minutes.
Right.
We're going to start a little bit early.
No, well, that's what you get. You know that.
Oh my god. Oh. Yeah, I know.
So there it is.
Did you have it? Yeah, I mean,
That's kind of it. Isn't that cute?
I might.
Go ahead. Yeah. When I told you that, they were, oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I'll show you where I took them. Yeah. Here's where I might have taken it.
Hy vọng là cái wifi sẽ tốt cho ngày hôm nay trong khi nói chuyện nó suôn sẻ mọi người.
So it was beautiful, but these didn't move. They couldn't put it in there because the sun is yeah. Oh, they were gorgeous. Through the whole zoo, took an hour and a half.
And I was talking to like a little, I guess, I don't know how it's money. Like, oh, I got it in my car.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. If everyone can find a seat. I'd just like to thank all of you for being here. We are beyond thrilled to have the governor. A lot of you already had a book sign with her and a photo op, so we appreciate your patience during that. And we just have a little bit of an intro before the governor comes out. I want to start with in New Jersey with President Trump. Wildwood. It was in Wildwood, New Jersey.
Em here.
But somebody informed me, George or somebody, that it has the longest pier.
Oh my goodness.
New Jersey, do they have the longest pier there? Excellent. Yeah, so it was a fantastic rally. I think it shocked the leftists and the media that we had. You could hear the liberal heads exploding all over the country. We love President. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to have Pastor Melvin Whittington from Freedom Fellowship come up and say a prayer, and then he says a few remarks on some ballot initiatives. Pastor?
This feels like I'm right at home at church at Freedom Fellowship. We're a church of patriots. It's a God and country church. We're out here in Wildwood, Florida. I didn't even know there was a Wildwood, New Jersey until President Trump. Awesome. Well, we know one thing that is coming up, and I've been asked to do double duty today, so I'm going to start off with a little information about Amendment 4. How many of you have heard of Amendment 4 and what's going on? There's a piece of paper back there everyone should get, and it explains its very subversive attempt by the abortion-loving Democrats to put an amendment on our state constitution that would allow, as a matter of fact, I'm going to read just the paragraph. It's just one little short blurb that they're trying to put in as the amendment. It says, no law, which of course eliminates all of the common sense laws enacted by our duly elected state officials, right, shall prohibit, penalize, delay, or restrict abortion before viability. Now, viability is not determined, it's not defined. So it could include late-term abortions, or what I consider to be murder. My mother made the decision. I'm adopted myself, and I've spent 45 years in ministry. My mother made the decision to give me life. And then it says, or when necessary, to protect patients' health. Now, we already know that by precedent, patients' health can also mean not just physical, but emotional, financial health. Okay, that's by precedent. As determined by the patient's health care provider. Okay, there's no definition as to who the health care provider is. It doesn't have to be a doctor, it can just be an abortion provider. Okay, and then it also says, which is really bad, this amendment does not charge the legislature's constitutional authority to require notification to a parent, not consent of an underage child. Be sure you get one of these, and I would challenge you to take that to your pastor. If he has any question as to why he should be promoting the fact that we need to vote no on this, tell him to call me. I'll be glad to set him straight. All right. All right, let's have a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, first of all, we just want to thank you that we live in the United States of America. We want to thank you, Lord, that right now we still can gather with like-minded patriots for a meeting like today. We come before you today recognizing that you are the sovereign over all nations, including this great nation. And as we gather in this meeting today, we ask for your guidance, your wisdom, your strength. Give us the discernment, Lord, to uphold the values and the principles that have made this nation a beacon of freedom and opportunity. May we always cherish the sanctity of life from conception to natural death and protect the most vulnerable among us. Guide our leaders to govern with integrity, justice, and compassion. Help them to pursue policies that promote individual liberty, personal responsibility, and economic prosperity for all citizens. And Lord, grant us the courage to defend our constitutional rights, including the freedom of speech and of religion and the right to bear arms. May we never waver in our commitment to uphold the rule of law and the principles of limited government. Bless our military personnel and first responders who courageously protect our freedoms and keep us safe. Strengthen their resolve. Grant your protection. Heal the divisions among us. Lord, may we be one people under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. And we pray for your guidance and protection over this meeting and all who are in attendance. May your wisdom illuminate our minds. May your love fill our hearts and your grace empower us to be faithful stewards of the blessings that you have bestowed upon us. We ask this in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. So before we get started with the rest of the program, if I can have all our veterans and LEOs stand, we want to recognize you. Villagers for 1247 loves you, and we appreciate you all. Thank you all for your service. Okay, so I'd like, we have a very special guest to sing our national anthem, Keisha King. Keisha, if you could come on up. What's your website? KeishaKing.com. Okay, yeah, so here we go.
Thank you so much. Thank you, darling, for welcoming me up. Yes, please stand for the singing of our national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets met the land, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave over land of the free and the home of the brave. Thank you.
Keisha King, thank you so much. Okay. Justin.
Irving was invited to one of President Trump's State of the Union. He was on national TV. He was invited to the White House. I mean, I could go on and on. And what I ask you all to do, you want to hear a story? Go to YouTube, click in Irving Locker, and you will get a half hour of patriot, real patriot. Now here he is, my good buddy Irving Locker is going to do the pledge.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The next young lady I'm going to introduce, I've known her since she was 9 years old. Her dad and her mother were my right arm when I was President Trump's campaign manager for Lake County in 2016. They did more campaign collateral than anybody around. We supplied not only Lake County, but Sumter County with bumper stickers, cart signs, you name it. And we also, Villages of Trump is the home of the first ever Trump Day dinner in the United States. And Raven's father and mother did the program. It's absolutely a masterpiece. In fact, President Trump signed it in 5 places and sent it back up to us, and it's one of our treasures up here in the Villages. Well, anyway, their daughter, Raven Saenthaler, is vice president of the Teenagers for Republicans, a division of the Republican Party of Florida. Raven's father introduced her to President Trump by waking her up at 2:30 in the morning, driving her to Orlando, waiting till 2 in the afternoon so they could have a front row seat. And so she got introduced to politics real quick. And the last thing that I have to bring up, Raven is a child of Christians, conservative, patriot, constitutional, respecting parents. And this is what you're going to get. Raven Saenthaler, come up, please.
Well, hi, everyone. You know, it is so good to be back here in the villages. My name is Kristi Noem, and I am the chairwoman of the Florida Teenage Republicans. I just gotta say, I love this place. Okay, every time I come down here, all of you guys are so kind to me, and I actually can't wait to finally move here when I'm retired. Closer. Okay. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, perfect. So the mission of the Florida Federation of Teenage Republicans is to educate and motivate young conservatives and help them meet and network with other Republicans. We have various chapters across 37 counties in Florida, and we serve thousands of teenagers statewide. Now, many people have written off my generation as being brainwashed or indoctrinated by the propaganda of the mainstream media and liberal school systems. But I'm here to tell you today that Generation Z is far more conservative than the millennials are, and we believe in the great principles this nation was founded upon. Okay? Christian values, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Free speech, not government censorship. That our rights were given to us not by the government, but by our Creator. That the Constitution is not a living and breathing document, but the bedrock upon which all of our nation's laws should rest. In my travels across the state, I have met so many motivated teenagers that are dedicated to conservative principles. But we're not only dedicated to conservative principles, no. We are dedicated to getting our great and rightful president, Donald J. Trump, re-elected. Now, I'm sure you're all aware that we have a crisis at our borders right now. And I'm sure you're also aware that the crooked Biden administration is importing thousands of illegal aliens to Florida right now in order to stack the deck against them in this election. While our organization is working to turn conservative teenagers into Republican voters to fight back against this corruption and turn the tide in this election. There are amazing and hard-working patriots fighting to make America great again. And I see so many young, innovative teenagers coming forward with their ideas on how to do this. Now, you may not believe this, but according to the Washington Post, there's a few studies been done, even one by Harvard. Generation Z is becoming more conservative than all previous generations. Now, a recent example of this, I'd encourage you all to go look up after this, is that of our college-age boys at the University of North Carolina fighting back against pro-Palestinian protesters. Those commies actually tore down the flag of our great nation and threw it on the ground. And in its place, they hung up the Palestinian flag. Now, when the cops came to remove this flag, these peaceful protesters spit at them and threw their water bottles. And when the American flag was put back up, those traitors once again tried to destroy it. But those brave college boys, they ran in to defend the flag, and they held it up from touching the ground while watching those protesters. They stood there for hours, holding it up until those protesters left. Now, my organization works every day to support and defend amazing patriots such as these young men. And now I'm asking for all of your help in this endeavor. The Florida Federation of Teenage Republicans is having their annual convention on July 13th at the Venetian Center in Leesburg. I'm asking that if you know of any teenagers that are interested in having free tickets, or if you're interested in sponsoring these tickets for teenagers, please come see me after this event, or you can go to our website, flteenagerepublicans.com, to donate. We have so many great speakers coming to this event. We had great ones last year, General Michael Flint and Roger Stone. And so we're waiting for confirmations for some amazing speakers this year. However, if anyone listening to this knows Barron Trump, please let them know that we are more than welcome and invited to be our keynote speaker, and we would be ecstatic to have him attend. Now I'm going to wrap this up with a brief comment on DEI. The liberals came up with the phrase diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, and a right-wing commentator pointed out that this should stand for didn't earn it. But you know, the teenage Republicans, to them, DEI means something different. Dedication, education, and inspiration. Dedication to getting constitutional conservative Republicans elected. Education on conservative principles and America First values. And inspiration to make America great again. Thank you all so much for your time. Once again, I'm Saenthaler. If you can help us in any way, please be here after this meeting. I love being here. God bless you all.
How about Raven? Raven's the future of our country. And we thank her, we're proud of her, we thank her for all the work that she's doing. I'm gonna get my agenda out. I don't want to read. Justin, could you cue up our ad? I'm ready.
Tonight, former President Trump doubling down on his 2024 campaign flashpoint, immigration.
Millions of illegal border crossers have entered the country unlawfully.
In a recent post, Trump sharing a new campaign video set to horror music, showing thousands of migrants said to be traveling to the U.S. from many countries. Trump promising India to crack down.
We will secure our borders and we will restore sovereignty.
It comes as Trump prepares to visit Michigan Tuesday in the wake of the death of a Grand Rapids woman, Ruby Garcia, allegedly at the hands of an undocumented immigrant who police say was in a romantic relationship with her. Authorities say he'd been previously deported during the Trump administration.
This is a horrible incident with Ruby. What a horrible thing. We had a tough policy of getting the bad ones out, and we were getting the bad ones out, and now the bad ones are coming in at a level that nobody's ever seen before.
Trump has made his hard-line stance on immigration and migrants a hallmark of his political image.
When Mexico sends its people, they're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists.
But in recent months, Trump has escalated his rhetoric on immigration.
They're poisoning the blood of our country. That's what they've done.
President Biden has tried to turn the tables on Trump, blasting him for ordering congressional Republicans to kill a bipartisan border bill.
I'm told my predecessor called members of Congress and the Senate to demand they block the bill. He feels political wind. He viewed it as political wind.
A new polling shows Americans, even some Democrats, are siding with Trump on the issue. A new survey shows 68% of Americans disapprove of President Biden's handling of the border, including 4 in 10 Democrats. That includes more than half of Black adults and nearly 3/4 of Hispanics. And while nearly half of U.S. adults hold President Biden responsible for America's border problems, only 35% say the same about former President Trump.
Okay, Jason, we're good.
The Biden campaign now forced to reckon with a decades-old wedge.
Okay. Go ahead and get our lights back up. Our lights, we need lights. Okay. So we have a very special guest here, and I kind of sprung this on him at the last minute, so I appreciate him. We have Cory Lewandowski, who's a senior Trump advisor. I'm going to have Cory come up and talk about the state of the campaign. Cory. One welcome to
And Jim, thank you for starting this club, and it's great to be back with you guys. I've been to the villages many times, as you know, and you guys have always been such great supporters of President Trump. And we're 175 days away from the next election. And so what do we see today? Well, what did we see yesterday? We saw a massive event in Wildwood, New Jersey, where even the left-wing media had to admit that there was more people at an event than Joe Biden has ever remembered seeing in his life.
Yeah.
But where are we today? What is the state of the race? Well, I just happen to have some fake polling data here from the New York Times. Arizona, Donald Trump is winning 49-43. This is the fake news reporting this, so you know it's got to be bad. It's got to be bad because they never want to talk about the truth. Arizona, Donald Trump is winning 49-43. Georgia, Donald Trump wins 50-41 right now. Michigan, Donald Trump wins 49-42. Nevada, 51-38, Donald Trump leads. Wisconsin, Donald Trump leads 47-46. And the critical battleground state of Pennsylvania, the white whale for Republicans that Donald Trump wins, but nobody else does. Donald Trump wins today 47-44. And it's because of this issue right here, the border and immigration. Because it knows no boundary. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, black, white, green, or orange. It doesn't matter what your religious ethnicity, religious beliefs are, ethnicity, socioeconomic status. What has happened to our southern border has been the greatest invasion our country has ever seen. No civilized country in the world would allow this to go on except us. And so what does Donald Trump pledge? And I remember, guys, you remember him coming down the escalator because I was there that day. There weren't many of us. And he said, I assume a few are good people. Well, we may not assume that anymore coming across the border. Because what are we seeing? Military-aged males from China across the border. They know exactly how to, it's so bad that 60 Minutes actually did a story on it. So what does that mean for our country? It means we're under attack. It means we have an administration that has failed in its duty and obligations to protect us from all enemies, both foreign and domestic. So in 175 days today, you will have an opportunity to right the ship, to change the course of our country, to ensure that Donald Trump is back in the White House. And I had the chance to spend a lot of time with President Trump recently, and we talked about this border crisis. There is no doubt in my mind, the first thing he will do when he takes office on January 20th is we will start deporting these criminals. And then and only then will our families have the chance to live in safety and security. Look, we are really at the edge of where our allies no longer respect us and our enemies no longer fear us. We see these Palestinian anti-American tirades take place on our college campuses. They walked out on Jerry Seinfeld yesterday, who happens to be Jewish, at Duke University. At what point do the Jewish students have the same right to go to school as everybody else? At what point is it supposed to be freedom to speak your mind without fear of reprisal? Look, we've seen a crooked Federal Bureau of Investigation. We've seen a corrupt Justice Department. And we've seen the witch hunt of witch hunts taking place in New York right now. And today, a man is testifying, this hoodlum I know very well, his name is Michael Cohen. And there are children in the room, so I will rephrase from using the words I traditionally use. But he's not a good guy. But what do they want to do? They want to keep Donald Trump in court so he can't go out and campaign. This is election interference on its face. It's being done by the government with the blessing of Joe Biden and Merrick Garland. And it is only going to be with your help and tens of millions of people across this country that we're going to change that. So thank you all very much for being here. Thank
Patrick Breeden. Patrick here. Okay, great. Thank you. And it's time to Tom again? Tom Bill? Okay. So I'm gonna have Steve Shives come up. Steve is running for Florida State House 27. Warm welcome for Steve.
Thank you guys, thank you very much. I am Steve Shives running for State House 27, which is Stan McLean's seat. He's terming out running for Senate. And, you know, we all know the things. How many of you would really like to pay more taxes? Taxes is an opportunity we have to give back to a system. It's unfortunate that our government overspends and lobbyists spend all their time doing the bidding for special interest groups, and our tax dollars go to where they have no business going. It's no secret that our infrastructure is stressed and can't keep up with growth because our tax dollars are going elsewhere. It's no secret that insurance rates are through the roof because of greed, litigation, and fraud. And the government won't step in and do the things that need to be done. I said I'd never do this. And we all know what happens when you say never. But, you know, here I am. And you're like, well, who's this guy? I can tell you who I'm not. I'm not a politician. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a lobbyist that knows all the hallways and corridors of Tallahassee. I'm a guy that 45 years ago taught himself to drive a semi-truck in a horse pasture at the age of 14 years old. And that is not a Joe Biden joke. It actually happened. At 16 years old, I took my GED and I started a trucking business of my own, just a one-man operation. I've been working 70 plus hours a week ever since then, pursuing the American dream, because at Raven's age, I was excited about living in this country and the possibilities of what I could do, because nobody told me I couldn't do it. And so we're living in a time when now people are being told you can't do that because the government says so. 12 years ago, I started a business in my backyard manufacturing small camping trailers that's grown into a nationwide company, Runaway Campers. If you're a fan of the Price is Right show, we've been on 4 seasons. My kids love the business. They've grown up watching me all these years. Now they're grown, and we have 2 young granddaughters. And my son said to me, Dad, who doesn't know the name Airstream? Who doesn't know the name Winnebago? He said, wouldn't it be awesome if one day our grandchildren could stand before people and say, you know, our family started this business? I said, son, that the only way that is going to happen is that we make sure that we don't wake up one morning and discover that overnight we now live in a communist country that owns 51% of our business, and they're telling us what to do with the other 49. That's what I'm doing here. I'm going for our children, I'm going for our grandchildren, because we live in a day when we cannot be silent, and we have to go back to the conservative values that this nation was founded upon. I'm Steve Shives. If you want to help out, see me in
Thank you, Steve. So we had Patrick Breeden here slated to talk, but this is a rule when you're campaigning. Pat, if you could raise your hand in the back. There's Pat Breeden in the back. He's running for Sumter County Sheriff. I'm allowed to say that. I can tell you that Patrick you're a native. You're a longtime resident of the area, so I encourage you guys to vote for Pat. Okay, so we're going to get into our main event. And I know you're not here to listen to me speak, so we're going to get right into it. So, Justin, can we go ahead and roll?
South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem tomorrow will go to what her office is calling the war zone at the U.S.-Mexico border.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, the United States of America is in a time of invasion. Nearly 10 million foreign nationals have broken federal law, and they've infiltrated our country within the past 3 years, bringing with them drugs, trafficking, crime, and violence. I see the effects of Joe Biden ignoring federal law and allowing this invasion every single day in my home state. That's why I'm proud to stand with Governor Abbott and his people here that are working to keep America safe. We recognize that this isn't about us anymore. We all have family members, and what will I give them? And where will they go if we allow this country to be destroyed right now? We need to be prepared to stand united to protect our state's constitutional right to defend ourselves, to defend our people. We must stand strong together. South Dakota will protect our people. God bless South Dakota, and may God bless the great United States of America.
So we are thrilled. Humbly and honored to have you here. Governor Noem, thank you for being here. Under your leadership, South Dakota is a beacon and the blueprint of how a state can achieve greatness by following, guess what? The principles of liberty and freedom. Governor Noem is a wife, she's a mother, she's a lifelong rancher, farmer, and small business owner. And I would say that South Dakota is the perfect example of a state that is governed by a governor who upholds and respects the Constitution of the United States. She not only believes in this Constitution, but she leads by example by actually governing according to its principles. Let's give an enthusiastic and warm villagers welcome to Governor Kristi Noem.
Good afternoon. Oh my goodness. Hi, Ruby. How are you? Ruby and I are best friends now. Yes. Yes, I love you too. My goodness. Thank you all for having me. It is so special to be here. I have heard for years about villages, and this is my very first trip to come and get to visit all of you. So thank you for inviting me to be with you. Thank you so much for having a book signing here and the chance for me to talk a little bit about my book, No Going Back. But first, let me talk about the border. Because South Dakota, I was the very first governor in this country that decided to send National Guard troops to help support Governor Greg Abbott when he asked for help. Other governors were sending law enforcement officers, they were sending some highway patrol officers, but I looked at the situation and what was going on at the border and thought, listen, this is a national security crisis. Our Guard members are specifically trained to fall in with other agencies and cooperate with them. They were used to participating with Border Patrol, other agencies, and they were specifically trained to go to war. And what we had at the southern border, what we have today, we've never seen in this country before. It is unprecedented. So we sent our Guard troops there immediately. We're the first state to arrive on scene. We've now deployed 6 different detachments and groups of National Guard soldiers that are men and women who love this country, that every day are living in despair that they can't believe how Joe Biden is wrecking this country. Right now, I have an engineering group down there that's helping build the barrier wall. They've been out there. We sent our Lakota helicopters down there to help with surveillance, to help with identifying drug traffickers, human traffickers. It was amazing to me one of the days that I was down on the border. And I was spending time with Texas public safety officials, with National Guard from Texas, and was on the river riding boats with them and talking to them. And they said, you know, some days we always used to call this, you know, Operation Lone Star. That is what we named it when we started to build the wall and Texas started to stand up to do what they can to protect this country. They said, but some days we call it Operation Lazarus. And they said the reason that is because the drug traffickers, the cartels, specifically at certain times will push hundreds of women and children into the river. When the river is high and dangerous, and they know that these immigrants cannot swim, they will push them and force them into the river and say, if you turn around, we will shoot you. And while these public safety officials and National Guard soldiers children out of the river and giving them CPR and bringing them back to life, a mile or two down the river, they're bringing dozens and dozens of truckloads of drugs and human trafficking out of the way. And they're using those women and children as a distraction so that they can run their illegal operations at a different place, because our men and women are there just saving lives. They say we feel like all we do is pull people out of the water, give them CPR, and bring them back to life. And we call it Operation Lazarus. That's how evil these people are. You know, people ask why I care so much, and you hear every governor in this country talk about the fact that Our state is a border state. But for us, we have a unique situation in South Dakota. In South Dakota, we have 9 Native American tribes. Now, some of you that have come from different states that have tribal reservations, you recognize that our tribes are sovereign nations. That our tribes, I don't have any jurisdiction as a state there on tribal grounds. Who does is the tribal government. Who does is the Department of Justice, the federal government, but as a state, I can't go there and enforce law. Those cartel members have moved over the border and have set up shop at my tribal reservations in South Dakota. We have the cartels, the banditos are there. They are recruiting more gang members from the youth of our Native American tribes, and they are running their drug operations right through my reservations in South Dakota, and their human trafficking operations and raping children and selling our women, and doing it from the middle of the country throughout the entire United States because they're protected there. They're protected there because the tribal leaders won't stand up for keeping their communities safe, and because Joe Biden won't do his job. He won't do his frickin' job and get in there and protect those communities. And I can't do anything because I have no jurisdiction. I've offered all of these tribal councils, I will come in and help. I will sign agreements with you. I will only enforce tribal law if you will allow me to. We're a sovereign nation. And many of these tribal leaders have decided that it's easier to get along with the cartels and to get more money in your pockets than it is to have safety for your communities. So if it's gonna get real anywhere, it's getting real in every single state across this country right now. And what's happening is that we're not seeing the best of the best come to this country. We see other countries such as Venezuela emptying out their prisons, emptying out their mental health institutions, sending their responsibilities to the United States of America, and that's who's coming across our borders. Now, what is interesting to me is that these cartel members that are in South Dakota doing operations and running drugs are using Chinese-generated apps and are laundering money for the Chinese government as well. So if you don't think that this is a plan and a cooperation to destroy America from within, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. We must be very clear that China has had a thousands-year plan to destroy the United States of America. And that government will put its people through incredibly painful, horrible things to get its agenda done. There is no way that China can become the world dominating power again unless the United States is destroyed, and that is their plan. And they will participate with our greatest enemies and the worst of the worst to make it happen. So you wanna know why I wrote the book? I wrote the book because there's no going back. I was listening to Republicans for years now say, gosh, I wish that it was like it was before Donald Trump arrived on the scene. Gosh, I wish it was like the good old days when the Bushes and the Cheneys and the Mitt Romneys were around and everybody would sit down and just figure out how to just, make this country go get along and nobody yelled at each other. Well, you know what? There's no going back. The fact is Donald Trump broke politics. He broke it. I am so grateful for that. I am so grateful for that. I have watched that man and I have supported him since 2016. He says all the time, I love Kristi Noem because she didn't run against me. And she said, why would you run against him if you can't beat him? And, which is true. All these other people that ran against him. I said, why are you running? You can't beat him. And nobody beats Donald Trump, But he says that all the time. But the reason is because the reason that he broke politics is a wonderful thing. Because now you can have candidates that can just be themselves. They can speak the truth. They don't think they're better than anybody else. It used to be when a politician ran for office, what's the first thing that they did? Well, they bought themselves a pair of jeans and maybe some cowboy boots. They went and stood in a barn or went on a manufacturing plant, put a hard hat on and said, I'm just like you. And you all knew you aren't just like me. You've never done this before and you're pretending to be somebody you're not. Well, not Donald Trump. When Donald Trump announced he was running for president, what did he do? He came down a golden escalator. Who does that? Nobody does that. I remember watching that thinking at the time, I think I have 2 escalators in the state of South Dakota. And I think they're in the airports. So like 99% of the people in South Dakota can't relate to an escalator in their day-to-day lives. So I was like, I don't know if this is really gonna work, if that's a good campaign strategy to come down an escalator, because we're all But what I loved about it is he was just himself. And that he was just gonna be himself and talk about why he was running and what he loved about this country. And what's interesting to me is that every single person I've ever met who's worked for Donald Trump, besides he really sucks bad, by the way, he's a liar, lied in front of Congress, he's a criminal. Besides him, everybody who's worked for Donald Trump loves him. You talk to anybody that has been around him, has had the opportunity, he's helped their families, he's helped them through difficult situations, he has a heart of gold, and he ran because he loves this country. So I love the fact that when he came down that golden escalator, he was just himself and he talked about his love for the country. And listen, you all know me. I hope you bought my first book, which was called Not My First Rodeo. That was kind of a lot of stories about cows and horses and growing up on a ranch and my family. And how many of you, yesterday was Mother's Day. How many of you are mothers? Can we have our mothers stand? Stand up. Stand up, Mom. Let's give our mothers a round of applause. Yesterday was a special day for me. I went to church with Brian, my husband, and his parents, and they had a community service, and then afterwards we had lunch together with that whole little town that was right there. And it was so fun to get to see all the neighbors and visit with them. And then my mom, for Mother's Day, wanted all of us kids to come over to do a bunch of chores for her. So we spent the rest of the day working. So she wanted a dog door put in her garage, she wanted a fence built around her dumpster, she wanted her garage cleaned. So we spent all day working with my mom, and the funniest thing was we probably had 20 family members there. Got a lot done, got her garden shed cleaned out, and all of her flowers planted. She comes walking out of the house with a big Trump shirt. He will be back in 2024. A picture of the whole family.
Oh my God.
I don't think anybody that loves President Trump more than my mother. But she wanted me to tell you all hello. And to say that, and she said, remind them of why it's so important that we do more. Why it's so important that we do more now than we ever have before. And for me, people wonder, Kristi, why do you get up every day and go get kicked in the head? I mean, I used to drive tractors for a living and chase cows, and I got to run a hunting lodge and several different businesses, and I was outdoors every day, and now I'm involved in politics. But the reason that I keep doing it and why I get out of bed in the morning and why I don't read the news anymore and I don't read the comments on my social media is because I have kids and I've got 3 little grandbabies. And in fact, I got a brand new little grandbaby, Miss Lenny Lou, that was just born a week ago. And she's perfect. She's perfect. And when I lay in bed at night, I wonder what kind of a country I'm giving them. And what happens if I decide I can't take this anymore? I'm just gonna step back. It's too hard, people are too ugly, people are too mean, I can't do it anymore. What happens to her? And what kind of a country will she grow up in? Because here's the deal, people, if we lose America, where will we go? There is no other country better than the United States of America. There is no other country. So you all know my life story. I'm a farmer and a rancher. I have a story kind of like Steve's. My dad didn't teach me how to drive a semi either. I was 12 years old. He was driving it down the road and he said, oh, I forgot I gotta take the other truck home. Kristi, jump over here, make your corners wide, and I'll meet you in the yard. Jump out the door. So I dove across the cab and grabbed the steering wheel, and I never shifted once. I took the widest corners you've ever seen, 7 miles home. I remember when I got into the yard, I didn't even know how to stop the semi, so I just turned it off. And it finally drifted to a stop, and I just thought, and I cried most of the way home. I did, because I was scared. But when I got into the yard and it finally stopped, the first thing I thought, I remember thinking, I cannot believe that I lived. And the second thought I had was, I bet I can drive anything now. And see, that's what I think my parents did for me. That was the greatest gift they ever gave me, is that they gave us impossible things to do, hard things to do. And we figured out how to do them. We just had to do them, and then what happened then was they raised a bunch of kids that were problem solvers, that figured things out, and then when you accomplished something tough, it gave you the confidence to take on the next biggest challenge. So I'm gonna tell you, all of you who are grandparents in the room, quit doing everything for your grandkids, although I know you want to. I know you want to. Grandparents maybe need to do that, but tell your kids to quit doing everything for their kids. Hard things are good. Hard things are good. I write a story in my book, and I hope you read the whole book, not just parts that the crappy lady is talking about. Read the whole book, because there's a story in there about why I always wear pearls. You will notice that whenever you see me, I'll have a pearl somewhere. And the reason that I wear pearls is because I had a lady tell me several years ago, she owns a pearl store, but she said, did you know that pearls are the only precious gem that are from a living creature? The only precious gem that's created from a living creature. From a creature that goes through a hard, distressing, painful thing. When an oyster gets sanded and it hurts, and it causes distress, and what happens through the process is it takes that hard, challenging thing and it turns it into something beautiful. And she says the perfect salvation story of what Jesus can do in your life, what the Lord can do in your life. But she said also for people like you, when you hit challenges and hard times, God can take that and turn that into something beautiful. And can turn it into something that's a gift and that's wonderful. So every time I get dressed, I put on something that has a pearl on it, just so that I hope somebody asks me, oh, I like your earrings, or oh, I like your necklace. So then I get the chance to tell them about Jesus, but I also get to tell them a little bit about the fact that hard things are good. We as human beings tend to try to stay away from hard things. I would say that we should change our perspective in this country. Yes, we're facing a lot of incredible challenges at the national level right now. Yes, we've been through some hard things, but they're going to make us better because we're going to spend more time winning the hearts and minds of people in our life that we haven't talked to in a long time. Listen, this country loves to get offended by each other, don't they? Oh my gosh, we're so offended. I can't believe they said that. I can't believe they did that. I'm so offended, and they blow each other up and then they quit talking to each other. And I just need you guys to get over it. I just need you to start having conversations again with people. You've got people in your life that you quit talking to. You've got people in your life that you quit having conversations with because politics has gotten so divisive and so ugly. And I'm just going to ask you to start having conversations again and listening to each other. Because that is how we're going to have engaged conversations on what really matters. I've been through some challenges. I've been through some challenges in my life, but I've run 12 elections and I've won them all too. I don't know how to lose. So we just win. But I was thinking the other day, and I wrote about this a little bit in the book as well. I went to speak to a leadership conference that we have for our state employees. And as I sat in this room with about 100 different state employees that were all in different agencies and departments and people that were probably 5 or 6 levels of government away from me, and they asked me to come in and speak to their lunch for a little bit. But one of the questions I got from the crowd that day was, Kristi, how do you make your hard decisions? Actually, they said, Governor. They said, Governor, how do you make your hard decisions? And I said, I was thinking, my whole life, I never got treated different because I was a girl. I had a dad who was a cowboy who was tough. There was no girl chores or boy chores. There was just work that needed to be done. I drove trucks and tractors, and he knew that I loved horses and cows and dogs and animals and wanted to be around them all the time. And so that was my whole life. I went to the legislature, was one of the few women there, but never really paid attention to it. Got elected to Congress, was the first Republican woman elected to Congress from South Dakota. Not many women there. Then I got elected governor. And all during that race to be governor, it was interesting because people kept talking about the fact that I would be the first female governor of South Dakota if I was going to get elected. And I didn't think much of that because it's never been much of an issue in my life, but in my polling, it showed up big time. I was losing 6 to 8 to 10 points consistently in all of the polls that were being run just because I was a woman. Nobody had ever seen that in South Dakota before. They were okay with a woman running for Congress and voting and working on policy, but they weren't quite sure they wanted a woman as a CEO, as the boss of the state. So I had to convince them that I could do the job. And when I won, I remember getting sworn in into the ceremony and standing in the rotunda to take my oath. And the entire ceremony was based around the fact that the day I was being sworn in as the first female governor of the state of South Dakota was the 100th anniversary of women first getting the right to vote in our state. The entire ceremony. And it just hit me. It hit me that this was historic, that this was really kind of a big deal. And I hadn't really thought about it before as they sang the songs, as everybody gave their speeches. they kept talking about how incredibly special it was that 100 years before that, women had finally gotten the right to vote, and here we were swearing in our first female governor. And I remember standing there on the edge of that stage thinking, wow, I better not screw this up. And so when I went up with the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court to take my oath on my dad's Bible, I remember thinking, what am I doing here? The first thing I did is I took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the state of South Dakota. The second thing was to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America. And I thought, two promises, two things, I could do that. That's not hard, I can do that. So from the very beginning, every decision that I've ever made has been made based, starting with those two questions. Is this constitutional? Is this not constitutional? Does the Constitution say I have the authority to do this? Does it say I don't have the authority to do this? What is the role for the state government? What is the role for the federal government? Most of the power is granted to the states, but most of it, beyond that, is granted to the people. In South Dakota, our motto is under God, the people rule, which means that throughout every decision, I have let our people decide. I have let our people have personal responsibility. So you saw me during COVID get mercilessly attacked. Little Deb back here was living in South Dakota then. We all recruited her down here, but I'll get her back. I'll get her back. We were the only state that never once closed a single business. We never once denied a group or a building. We never mandated masks or vaccines. I was the only governor in the country that never once defined even what an essential business was, because I don't believe that government and governors have the authority to tell you that your business isn't essential. We were the only state in the country that didn't take the elevated unemployment benefits. I said to the president, thank you very much, but our people want to work, so we don't need it. And turned that down, and then we broke the national historic record for the lowest unemployment rate in the nation with 1.7% unemployment rate. We've broken our historic revenues have come in. Tens of thousands of people have moved to South Dakota, and they don't move to South Dakota because of RBG. And they don't move because of January. People have moved because they want to be free. And they want to live somewhere that they can be safe. I did a national advertising campaign for law enforcement officers. I don't know if you've seen some of those TV ads. Kind of enjoyed being a cop there for a little bit, but the very first week, we had 800 law enforcement officers raise their hand and say, we want to move to South Dakota. Wow. Since we did the plumbing ad, where I'm a very bad plumber, in just 4 months, we saw our plumbing licenses applications go up by 78%. Our electricians' licenses, since that commercial went up just a couple of months ago, where I shut off all the lights on the Capitol because I'm an electrician, yes, our electrical licenses have gone up by almost 60% of electricians trying to come to our state. People that want to be somewhere that still feels like America. We went through incredible challenges during COVID, but I would say during those darkest days when I didn't have any friends. I mean, conservatives were attacking me just as much as Democrats were. Then I went through girls' sports, where I refused to sign a bad bill that our legislature signed. You all didn't get to hear about the fact that that very day that bill that they didn't fix didn't pass. I signed an executive order to protect girls' sports. Make sure that we were able to Now, the media didn't cover that. We've got one state that passed a bad bill right now, and they've got it tied up in court, and they're not able to keep men out of girls' sports. But I was getting kicked in the head, still protecting girls' sports, to make sure that we had the strongest bill in the nation. And now we've had over a dozen states in this country use our bill as model language, because it truly does make sure it's not going to get killed in court or tied up and have bad case law, that it's going to be something that will be made sure that only girls will be allowed to compete and have success and to be able to have the kind of recognition that they deserve and that we fought for so many years. Sometimes you have to make hard decisions. But what I'm going to ask you to do, and I'm not going to talk much longer, But what I'm gonna ask you to do is a couple of different things. The first thing is to start talking to people. Clear. Donald Trump is the president that we need back in the White House. Every day he was in the White House, I got the chance to be on offense as governor. I got the chance to go out there and solve problems for my people. Now all I do every day with Joe Biden in the White House is I'm on defense. I'm getting sued every day by federal agencies. I have to sue the federal government for not doing their job. They're killing us with regulations and FOIA requests and audits, and they're keeping us and hindering people from being able to pay their grocery bills and from being able to pay their energy costs, and they're crippling America while they're allowing criminals to come into this country and to proliferate a disease and drugs that will destroy our country. Did you know that South Dakota is the only state in the country whose overdose are going down? Our mental health challenges are going down. Our suicides are going down. And I think it's because people are happier there. They're happier because we protected freedoms and liberties. When the government told people that they couldn't gather in groups, people rolled over and gave up their freedom of assembly. When the government told people that they couldn't go to church, they gave up their freedom of religion. You had the government telling social media platforms they could decide what people could say and what they couldn't say. And people gave up their freedom of speech. Where will it end unless you have people stand and be willing to take the kicks to the head and the criticism no matter what? We need people who will speak the truth, who will have those conversations. So what you are going to do, and what I'm going to ask you to do is say yes. Yes. Yeah. People are going to ask you to do things that you're going to be uncomfortable doing. I'll tell you, I'm an introvert. Did you guys know that? I know, right? I'm in the wrong job for that, aren't I? You want to meet an extrovert? You should meet my husband. He's the first one to sign up for every party that there is. We spent all weekend at graduation parties and at birthday parties and Mother Day parties. He went to 12 graduation parties in one day. I said, excuse me, I could not do that many. I did 3. So there's only so much. I run out of words by the end of the day. If I'm going to go do something, I love to go sit in a tree stand or go, for a hike or do something like that. But he loves people and loves to talk. So he told me to tell you all hello. But, and he would be talking much longer than I would if he was up here. But so running for office and doing the job that I do now, nobody could have ever predicted that I would do it. I never once got to just be gifted with the gifts that Raven has to speak and to stand up in front of people and be so poised. And I just decided that when my dad died and we got hit with death taxes and we almost lost our family business, that I was just going to start showing up. The main message of this book, No Going Back, is the fact that, yes, I talk about money in politics and how devastating it is. I talk about how hard it is to ask people to donate to campaigns, because it really, really sucks to ask people for their money. But I also know I can't win without money. And I promise to people, all I can promise you is I will be a good investment. I will pay off. I'll be exactly what I told you I would be. I talk about consultants and how much I can't stand campaign consultants. I've watched them line their pockets and take money from candidates, and then as soon as the race was over and their candidate lost, they shut their laptop and they walked out of the room and they go, okay, on to the next race, and they don't care one bit. And I also talk in this book about the fact that the most powerful person in government is you. That you are the most powerful person in government. In every one of those chapters, I start with 2 quotes. And then I talk about an issue in that chapter, and at the end, I give you a step-by-step guide of what you can do to really make a difference in that area. What every citizen in this country needs to be doing to make sure that we get Donald John Trump back in the White House and that we make America great again. So I hope you read it, and I hope you go out there and say yes, do uncomfortable things. Knock on doors, have conversations, go pump somebody's gas for them, and while they're doing it, make them listen to how bad this economy is, why we need to fix it, how better it was 4 years ago. Go help them change that tire in the meantime, convert them over to us, because we need it more now than ever. I'm spending all my time until the next election in these swing states, talking about the hardest issues, recognizing that we can quote all the statistics and facts that we want to, but people need to know that we love them. They need to know that we love them, and that we want to win their hearts and their minds too. There's a reason that we're here. And that this isn't about us anymore. This is about what kind of a country we leave our kids and our grandkids. So thank you for being an inspiration. I want to be you when I grow up, and I'm only about 3 or 4 years behind you. So it won't take me long at all, but God bless you. You have a wonderful day.
President Noem. Okay, so if everyone can remain, we're gonna have a little raffle action. I think the money's on its way up here. Jerry? Yeah, the basket too, yeah. We're gonna give that basket away. So those of you who bought tickets, you might wanna stick around.
Xem là nó đi nhanh lắm. Nó xem là né. Cầm cái con xem.
There you go.
I'm ready to go. I just want to make sure. I want assholes. Yeah, I will. Yeah, Bruce Lee. I'm Sandy. I tell you what it's called. It's called Million Man. Yeah.
Baby, you get my book for Bình chứ? You get a book for Bình?
Yeah, everything.
Yeah. Okay, I go with my son now.
Okay, we're gonna draw for 4-1.
I see you later. I go with my son. Okay, I'm lazy. Thấy chưa? Thấy không? Có mời bà lại không? Ồ. Bà phải xếp vô hả? Trời ơi, mọi người ơi, tiếc quá. Mọi người xếp up được đây. Hôm nay là phải là
So you go to the morning 7
You get a car? You get a car number? Get a car number? Give for me. So I want to know a phone number.
This is for her assistant.
Yeah. Because I get the.
You got it?
Yeah, I rally and something and tell her. Okay, we good chat today.
That was
Yeah.
good. That was good.
Yeah.
You guys been busy.
I know. Now we've.
I know.
Yeah.
We gotta come back here tomorrow for another thing.
Sure.
Good day.
Thank
you. Em thấy sao?
À, thấy sao? Giờ phải đi đón con để con về trễ.
Giờ lấy cao quý vị. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Em muốn đến lại được. Bây giờ anh đi vô trong một xíu nữa.
Không, bây giờ tắt luôn á. Bye mọi người. Thank you for watching.